Hi everyone, I am so excited because I am speaking with author Andrea Rothman and we are talking about her debut novel, which I had to keep looking up. Is it really her debut novel? And it is. And she has a copy of it right in front of her called The DNA of You and Me. Andrea, when I saw the cover of this book like about a couple months ago, when they were kind of promoting it, I was like,
Yeah.
I want to read that book. I don't even care. I mean, you hate to say that a cover makes it, but show everybody like close up because this cover is so cool. I love it. I was like, I got to know what it's about. I have to read this book. And
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
so you must have been thrilled. I mean, it's your debut novel. You get an amazing cover like that. I mean, that's
Yes, it
just
was great.
yeah, the
So
color just
excited. I love
it's
the microscopes, especially.
oh my gosh, everything about it. And of course, I'm looking at it digitally, so I'm so happy to see the book. But I kept examining it. Like, I'd go back while I was reading it on my Kindle, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this cover is so perfect. And I am so happy I got to read it. I was traveling. I was going back, and I'm in Pennsylvania. I was going to California. And I was all excited because I had, when you get a TV set in front of you when you're traveling, and you're like, yes, I can watch a movie. So I was all excited and I was like, all right, I'm going to start Andrea's book. Then I'm going to watch a movie. Then I'll go back to the book. Never made it to the movie.
Wow. Wow, I'm so honored. Thank you.
Never made it to the movie. I looked at the time and I'm like, oh, I only have 45 minutes left. Oh, well, I'll just finish the book.
Wow.
So,
That's great.
yeah, so I was like, if that doesn't tell you something about a book that I'd rather be sitting, that the time went by like that. I was so absorbed into this
Well,
story. And
thank you for letting me know. That's great.
yeah, and you know what?
Makes me so
For everybody
happy.
out there who's just hearing things about like the science part of it, right? And
Yeah.
I am not a science person at all. Science was my least favorite subject. But when I was reading this book, I became so intrigued by the science part of it that I
Yeah.
was like, I can't wait to tell Andrea that I hate science. And here I am, like, just loving,
Yay, I
loving
did my
this.
job.
You did. You absolutely did because I was kind of scared at first because I was thinking, what if I don't understand what she's talking about? What if I have to be, smart in this area to know what she's talking
Yeah,
about? But uh, it was amazing. So
that's
I'm going to
great.
let you give a little blurb about like, so we know, because I don't want to give away anything at all. Like
Yeah.
I want people to experience this book like I did, but I
Okay.
always know how far to take it if I hear you talk about it a little bit.
Okay, sure. So you want me to talk about the book?
The
What?
story, yeah. Just tell us the general idea of the story.
Okay, so my book is slash literary fiction. I'd say it's literary fiction, a
Yes.
little bit of romance. It's a
Okay.
mix because it's a love story.
It is.
It's not a happy ending love story, but it's a love story. And it's told through the lens of grief of a woman called Emily Appel, who is a very successful scientist. She's about to receive the prestigious Lasker Award for all the research she's carried out, in particular for a group of genes that she discovered 12 years earlier in a research lab where she met a senior colleague competitor called Aidan Darty, who ends up becoming the love of her life. So it's kind of a Romeo Juliet retrospect,
Yeah.
looking back, and she's telling the story. So, and it's a circle. So the narrative bends backwards in a
Yes.
circle, beginning and end. It ends the way it begins.
That's what I love because what I did then when I was finished with your book this morning, get it in preparation for this, I always go back and I read that first chapter because I don't care if you read this book in a day or a month, you forget that first chapter. Like, where
Yeah.
did Andrea start me off? Okay.
Yeah.
So I reread that first chapter and I loved it so much more because
Wow.
everybody do that. I promise you, you will get so much more out of a book when you see how the beginning because you forget. And
Exactly.
and
So
that
much more reward. It's so rewarding to go back to
it
that first chapter. I
really,
know.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And your first chapter, after I read it the second time, I was like, oh my gosh, it like brought tears to my eyes because now you know the characters. Now you're
Yeah.
more invested in them. And I was so invested in Emily and her
Yeah.
story. And, so I want you to read the first paragraph for everybody because
Sure.
I
Love
love this
to.
first paragraph.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So, chapter 1. Smell is an illusion, my father used to tell me. Invisible molecules in the air, converted by my brain into cinnamon, cut grass, burning wood. Heat was a measure of pain receptors in my skin, and brown was not brown, but a combination of light waves captured by cones in my eyes. The world as I knew it, as I felt it to be, was the result of my own personal experience, and so it was up to me to make the best of my understanding of it.
Ah,
That's a
and it's so good. Like, I just love that first paragraph so much because
Thank you.
it has, the whole story is centered around our sense of smell.
Yeah.
Like you kept bringing it in, and I was thinking, for your debut novel, you wrote it so beautifully. I'm just stunned by your writing.
Thank you. Thank you. That means I'm so touched. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so tell me about your journey to this book.
So let me tell you a little bit about my past, because I was a scientist in my former life, and I worked in many research labs across the world, and the last one was in New York City. I live in Great Neck, which is not far from the city.
Right.
And then I became pregnant with twins as I was making my way up the academic ladder. And for various reasons I will not go into, I left research and I became a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. And luckily I had a hobby, and that hobby, because I love to read, loved to read, especially novels. And I had written short stories. I had taken some courses at New York University, creative writing courses. Then I started, slowly writing short stories. Then I went to do my MFA against my husband's wishes. Creative writing, and it was a low residency program. I had to be at Vermont twice a year, and then slowly I began writing this novel, which is, I think, the novel I've always wanted to write. I just wanted to bring people into that world who know nothing about what it's like to work in that kind of environment.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I felt it. Like, I felt like I really experienced the lab rooms and the science that went along with it. And even if I was a little like, wait, what article, or what are they talking about? Like, it didn't matter. It was part of the story.
You felt you were there.
I still felt I was there. Exactly. And I learned so much.
That's great.
I learned so much, which is, just a bonus when you're reading a novel, to actually learn something, right?
Yeah, totally. You see the whole process, the scientific process, the project, step by step, what they're discovering, what happens.
Yes. And I didn't think that it was a sad ending, more or less, but I loved how the choices of women come in there, because I'm raising daughters right now that are in their 20s. Not raising. I'm now, they're on their own, but every once in a while they ask me an opinion. So, and when I think about my work and what I did before doing this, and I have 6 children, but before then I worked, and I love how you brought that in, like her decisions to keep going. She was focused on her work,
Yeah.
And I don't know that I was that type of person, really. But I know people who were. I know women who were, and I always admired them,
Me too. And I wasn't that kind of woman. I'm not that kind of woman, but I met women who were like that, and I always admired them.
Right.
Especially in science, that they could stick to it and sacrifice so much.
Yeah.
Because it's extremely hard to be a mom and to be working in a lab like that, towards a career path, staying in academia. It's very hard, still hard, even now. So yeah.
I was kind of relating, I watch Big Bang Theory. Okay. So, you see them in a physics way, like looking at a problem for days and days. And I kind of was relating. I was thinking, because this is not my world. And I was like, do these scientists really sit in a lab day after day, 8 hours, to make one tiny discovery, or not make any discovery?
Or not make any discovery
in weeks, right? Or months or something, and then they make one, and which that part, I wonder if you know that part. You could read that part about what her dad said about the moment.
Oh, the discovery, the moment of this. Oh my God! Let me see if I find it.
I was gonna say, I wish I was gonna mark it too, and then I forgot.
That's a beautiful part. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, here it is. So this is after Emily has discovered made a discovery, something she thinks is important, which actually turns out to be extremely important. My father once said to me, shortly before he died, that a discovery is nothing but a moment. The moment when a truth, otherwise obscured, reveals itself, and your eyes are the only pair of eyes in the world to see it, and your mind, the only mind to comprehend the truth and certainty of what you see. The moment is all you're left with, because that is all you will ever care to remember. Not the published paper that will end up on a shelf or in a filing cabinet, not the grant, not even the prize, if you should be so lucky to receive one, but the moment.
Oh. And I am not the only one. I see people writing about that little section all over the place. I mean, that is a very quotable section of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went back and started reading some reviews, and I was like, oh my gosh, they, of course, like everybody's loving. So when you came up with that, like when you wrote it, did you know you were writing something that was going to touch so many people in that way?
I didn't know, but what I can tell you is that it touched me because I went over that paragraph that I just wrote. I mean, it was with me for years, and I just kept rewriting it, and it never bored me. I was always filled with joy whenever I rewrote it. And so there's something there, like a gem,
Oh,
So
totally.
I'm so happy that you're touched by it.
Oh, I was so touched. And I was thinking, in our life, like we have, even if we're not, scientists, we all have moments. And what I was thinking about was like, and you can relate too, but as a mom, it's like, that moment when you give birth and you see your baby, like that, it's the moment and you'll never get it back, and and it's just your time. And that's what I was relating to what she was going through. And I think other people can relate to many other things in their life, but especially your first. I mean, you had twins, but to me, my first, because you're like, I made that. Like, how did I do that?
Exactly. It's one of these things, you just keep going back in a circle to that place in time.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so beautiful. So, okay, so Andrea and I both get like notified right before this interview. I got an email from Goodreads saying that this book, which I was so excited for her, has been listed as Goodreads Romance Book of the Month. Okay. Yeah. And then that was my first thought, like, yay, Andrea. And then I'm like, wait, romance, okay. I don't know. It is definitely, for everybody listening, there is romance, okay? Of course, you can tell by the cover, you can tell by, it is romantic. Is it a romance as the category that Goodreads uses romance? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I would put it in that category. I do agree that it's literary fiction and with romance, but a lot of literary fiction has romance. I mean, most literary fiction has romance, I would say.
Yes.
So, I would put it in that category. It's not about boy, girl, fall in love, don't fall. I mean, it isn't your typical like pattern of a romance. So don't be disappointed if you don't get that story that you're looking for in this book, if that's what you're looking for. You'll get a different story. You'll get a definitely beautiful story, but it isn't the typical romance story, is what I'll say.
Definitely.
And I just think it's so awesome that we both had that same thought at the same time. So it's really cool that we both got that before we came on this interview.
Yes, that's very cool.
It is.
And
the timing, you can't beat timing, right? You just can't beat timing. So anyway, the ending, I love that we don't give any giveaways, but I did love the ending so much. I was like, because I always talk to my authors while I'm reading their books. Never have met you before, and I'm like, oh, Andrea, I'm so happy you went that way. There are other ways you could have gone, but I'm so happy with the way that you went. And it wrapped the story, like you said, it was like a circle. It wrapped it up so nice, and and you are I'm just so happy for you, because I see this book everywhere, and whenever I see somebody who is a debut novel and they're getting recognition, I get so happy for them, and because it must be just thrilling to be in your shoes right now and see it everywhere.
Yeah. My sister called me last night. She this is her second time reading the book. She read it 3 years ago. She didn't remember anything. She called me last night crying. She's like, I can't believe this ending. It's so beautiful. I can hardly speak. And it was so touching for me, that she would say that it's, it's a realistic novel. That's what it is.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's hope. I mean, it's a hopeful ending.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was sad. It does definitely end hopeful. But all right, so you're promoting this. I mean, this book just came out, but are you writing or are you taking a little like just absorbing moment in this?
Yeah, I'm absorbing it. I'm trying to enjoy the moment.
Yes.
The whole process, which is great, and just interacting with other debut novelists, debut 19 authors, which
Yes.
I love. I love that group, and
Oh
we're
my
so
gosh.
supportive of each other. It's wonderful. So I'm trying to absorb all of this and to plan ahead for other talks and other interviews. Thank you so much for this interview. And in the back of my head, I've been planning another novel, and I've written a lot. So I pretty much,
Yes.
yeah, on the way towards that. Whenever I get a chance to sit down again and write for 4 hours a day, I'll do it.
Well, you know what? You are so inspiring for other women too, because, we have that before career, then we have the mothering career, and now we get a chance at doing something else. And you have done that. You've
Yeah.
made yourself a second career. And I was just so inspired by your story. And I was
Thank
like, see, we can, the mothering takes up so much of our lives. And then it's like in this day and age, we're not our grandmothers or our moms. It's like, we still have lots of time left to do
Absolutely.
to do
Yeah.
other things. And there are so many women in our age group, in our category, that are like, okay, well, I did that and now I can go do this because my kids don't need me as much as they
Yeah.
did before. And so you are an inspiration to women everywhere. And I just wanted to
Thank
tell you
you.
that. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, I can't
That's
wait to see your next book. You know where to find me.
Totally.
I will be here. I'll read it early. And so everyone, I am going to have the IndieBound link to this book. She's going to hold it up again. Hold it up so
Okay.
you can see the cover. I'm going to put the IndieBound link so you can go support your local bookstore. I'm going to put the Amazon link because if you want it on your Kindle today, that can happen too. And then I'll put all the rest of Andrea's links listed below so you can find her everywhere. And I can't wait to watch what else happens with this. I really can't. I can't wait to see
Thank
if I
you.
get more
Neither
emails.
can I. It's a journey.
It is a journey and it's a fun journey. So, have fun and we'll talk soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Bye.
have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.